Take your sunglasses off.
What? The sun is right in my face.
Well, you're looking at me. You're not looking at the sun.
They're open.
Put your hearing aids in.
It's so bright.
Your eyes are starting to water.
Why you gotta be so cute? Alright. Alright.
Take a sip of your smoothie.
Let's do it. It's not a smoothie.
What is it?
It's juice, basically.
It's ice, though. It's
No, there's no ice.
Oh.
It's just stuff. An apple juice. All right. Let's do stuff.
Okay, if you can't see, your juice sucks.
All right. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
My name is Salam Abaziz. I'm a San Antonio police officer.
Okay.
And I've been such for 5 years now.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 years.
Yeah.
How do you like what you do?
I like it. It's good. It's there's a lot of craziness, there's a lot of wildness, but it's okay. You know, it's like every other job, but it's not like every other job. It's a job. You sign up for it. You know, you should know everything that comes around with it. But at the same time, you know, like any other job, you find out things about it, and you're like, wow, this is a lot crazier than I thought it would be.
Okay.
No.
Do you think that's just because of the area that you are in, or?
I think it's because, well, I mean, policing in general, you know, it's one of those jobs where, you know, not a lot of people are going to like you for doing the job, but someone has to do it. Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel like you have, like whenever you go, like, on the scene or something, like, do you ever feel like that stuff impacts you?
It depends on what it is, but for sure it does. I mean, you know, you come across a scene where you have a deceased person, you know, it's going to be impactful. It should be impactful. You know, everyone else is a little different. Some people kind of see it and they're not really fazed by it, but I think really everyone's fazed by it because that's not a normal sight.
No.
So it does affect. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you'd ever get a therapist for any of it, or?
Well, there's therapists available.
Yeah.
But me personally, I haven't reached out to a therapist. I haven't needed to see a therapist. So I'm able to just still do my regular activities, my regular daily activities. Yeah. It's not really impeded. I don't think impeded at all. Okay. You know, but I do find my ways to, you know, like I said earlier, you know, it does affect me. Like, you know, when I see, you know, a critical incident or I'm a part of a critical incident, it affects me. So the way I've come to deal with those emotions is just, you know, I make sure I have a strong support network. You know, I go through, you know, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. My family owns a school, and, you know, I train with them for free. So that kind of helps out. Yeah. But, you know, when you have a community of people that you can kind of rely on, and then you can kind of, you know, not really go to for like therapeutic sessions and support. That's not what they're there for. But you can go to them and, you know, as you're learning new techniques and trying new stuff, you can crack a joke or two in the middle. Yeah. You can check up on how they're doing. They might check up on how you're doing. And by having that kind of support network there, or at least that community, that sense of community, you know, you don't feel all alone. It's like, okay, well, you know, I'm a policeman doing my policeman stuff, but people I train with, they're like soldiers. Yeah. They're people that have gone to wars out in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, you got veterans, and, you know, you have people that are still active duty. They still go out. They still have to go on deployments, be away from their families, and, you know, so you deal with, you know, you're talking to people with different experiences, you know, and not all the time are the people you're training with, are they, you know, all military. Sometimes they're just civilians. Sometimes they're people that maybe they're doctors, Maybe they're firefighters, maybe they're other first responders like you, like myself,
Mm-hmm.
or they just work in different fields, but fields that are pretty intensive in construction work, contracting work. So
you have like a really bad week at your job, and you're like looking forward to going to jiu-jitsu. Are you looking forward to like going for the community, the people that are there, or is it more of,
I see what you're saying. Like, if I have a tough week, like, I can't find a donut shop, or my favorite donuts are out, it's like, does jiu-jitsu, going back to jiu-jitsu, kind of help out, kind of bring me back to
a good spot. And like, what about it brings you back to that good spot?
So when I go back to jiu-jitsu, what brings me back to equilibrium, like, let's say, I have a tough week or a tough day or a tough previous day, and I'm like, okay, like, what am I'm a little bit lost here, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, let me at least do something that, I know is going to work out somehow in some way. Go to jiu-jitsu practice the following day, and what you come to find out is you get there, because the hardest part is just walking there. It's just getting your stuff together, getting ready to make the drive, deal with traffic, deal with the nonsense, and then actually showing up, being there on time. Sometimes I'm a little bit late. You ask my dad, and it's, I'm late all the time. But you show up, and you go in, and you find your partner, and you start drilling the techniques. You're being told what technique you have to do, you're doing it, maybe you're not doing it right, so a joke is cracked on you, or, the little firm hand of like, okay, just put your arm here, Aziz, like, do this, Aziz, I put your leg there. And then you figure it out. Eventually you're going to figure it out. You may not do it perfectly, but at least you're making that progress, and it's good to see that progress. And it's even better when, say like you go and spar, and you spar with, either your friend or, whoever in the gym. It's like, okay, well, let me, would you like to roll? Yeah, let's roll. And you roll. And then you perform that technique that maybe you were just shown, or some technique you were shown maybe a week or two back, or a month or something back. And it feels good when you actually do it right. And you're not going to perform the technique right on the first go. But when you keep going and you just don't give up on it, and you see it work out, there's just that physical manifestation of all those wise words where people say, just don't give up, because things will work out. And when you see it manifest in front of you, because you got your buddy in a Kimura and he's tapping like, hey bro, yeah, like, I did it. Yeah.
So you said you've been doing, how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu for?
8 years.
8 years?
8 years.
And you're a blue belt? Right?
Yes.
Okay. And you just competed in your first competition?
I did.
How did you like that?
It was fun. Probably won't do it again for a while. It was quite stressful.
You don't think you do it for a while?
Yeah.
Why not? Just because of stress?
Yeah, because I didn't want to fail my team. I didn't want to fail my school.
But you won, though. So
I did win.
Don't you want to see, like, if you can push it, if there's a beat?
Oh, absolutely.
Don't smack him.
Oh, what's going to be about smack him?
He's going to get mad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it was fun. It was good. I'd probably do it again, but not for a little while. I like to, it was very stressful. Like, I wanted, like I just didn't want to fail my school, my dad, and all the training I've received. And, but at the same time, the whole point of me going, the reason why I signed up to do it was I wanted to, like, test my mettle. I wanted to see, like, where my jiu-jitsu was after, 7 to 8 years of just that consistent training. And, because I've been a police officer now for, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
Plus, I was like about a year as a jailer. So, in all those years I worked, and I've worked so far, I've been doing jiu-jitsu the entire time. And it's made my career, it's made it easier. It's made it easier to figure out issues, deconstruct problems, and, obviously first most, just dealing with, combative suspects.
So when you say it helps, like, deconstruct problems and stuff, like, what do you mean by that?
So deconstructing, like, like with jiu-jitsu, you're going to have, you're gonna have your questions the more you practice. Of like, okay, well, how do I stop someone from just smashing me all the time?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what can I do to get this person off of me? What can I do to put them back on my guard? You know, though that's a question that gets multiple answers, because there's no one way answer for you to just, you know, stop a certain thing.
That bee really likes you.
That bee really does like him. I'm about to swat it. But
it's a smoothie.
But it might be a smoothie. But yeah, it's like, you know, you're gonna have you know, you have your big concept question of how do I surpass this individual in this, like, you know, certain issue. And you're not gonna solve it with one answer. So you have to kind of investigate and practice to find different answers to that one problem.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So in order to basically take this big problem that you have to deconstruct it into smaller parts. Well, if I want to stop someone from passing my guard, I'm going to have to work on guard defense. I'm going to have to maybe work on how I'm applying my grips onto the person's lapel and arm, and if I'm trying to isolate the arm to, you know, and then pull them in to kind of keep them in my guard, right? That's one answer. Another answer might be like, okay, well, you know, maybe I need to, you know, when I'm getting smashed on and they're in my side control, you know, or they're in my half guard almost, maybe I need to have like that one leg that's kind of stretched out a little bit to kind of brace myself against their weight, you know, and that's deconstructing an issue. In policing, I found that when I take that same kind of mindset with Jiu-Jitsu and I apply it to policing, you know, you get called to a scene where, you know, someone was assaulted. It's like, okay, well, you were assaulted. What is, you know, you have this big issue of like who assaulted you, right? So you start deconstructing it. Okay, who are they saying committed the assault? Do they know? Do they not know? Is the person still here? Okay. When you get those answers, that's just your first set of answers. Okay, well, where did this assault happen? Okay, it happened here. It happened in the bedroom. It happened in the living room or outside the parking lot. Okay, now you got another part of the problem that you're solving it with new answers. And the more answers you get for all these different parts, as you deconstruct your major issue of who committed the assault, it helps you better figure out like a plan of tackling the larger issue so that you can solve it. You can find a way to bring it to a favorable outcome.
What does Jiu-Jitsu mean to you?
Family, a way to improve my life, a challenge. That's what it mostly means. Yeah. I feel like, you know, because my dad, I mean, if it wasn't for my dad and my mom, you know, if it wasn't for Simple Fortis, you know, I wouldn't have that connection to Jiu-Jitsu.
Do you think you would have still gotten into it though?
I believe I would have.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things, it's like you got to either, it's like, because I got into wrestling when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm pretty sure I talked about it with my dad, but I mean, at the time I wasn't like doing Jiu-Jitsu very hardcore. I wasn't doing it like daily. So I just wanted to do some kind of physical activity that would be fun to do after school. And I found that in wrestling. And then, of course, as I'm grappling and I'm doing it, you know, I find out, okay, well, I kind of like winning, you know, especially if outside of the mats, there's someone that's trying to bully me, that wants to have a fight with me. Now, with wrestling, I know how to defend myself. It's not just this, you know, it's not just this open-ended question of like, okay, well, what do I do if he hits me? Like, can I go up to the teacher? Can I go up to the principal?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you can pin him, put him in a full Nelson, and, you know, end the fight.
I wanted to know, like, I don't know, like best moments in your job or like toughest type of moment. Obviously, you don't have to go into details, but I wasn't sure if I could ask those. Like,
I think you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you can ask those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a cop, what have been some of your favorite moments? Like, what's your favorite thing about your job?
The people I work with.
Yeah.
They're the best. Yeah, if the guys and gals that I worked with weren't as funny and as wise and as serious and as trustworthy and as just as resilient, very resilient, having that initiative, you know, to solve problems, to engage problems, you know, being willing to share their experience, you know, and to teach like newer officers like, you know, how to get better, or, you know, officers that have been on for a little bit, how to still get better.
So it seems like your it seems like with your job and even like with jiu-jitsu, you value like that sense of community quite a bit.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, with mental health, I feel like it ties in very well. Like if you have a good working relationship with your coworkers, that in any job makes the job better, makes it worth it. And I've always been big on maintaining your social relationships, maintaining just keeping yourself socialized. Because if you just go inward and you don't socialize with people, you become antisocial. You become like the person nobody wants in any situation. You know.
What do you mean by that though?
Like, you know, you don't. Because it you know, like police officers, yeah, you don't want an antisocial police officer. But you also don't want an antisocial, like, clerk or person at the DMV.
Yeah.
You don't want that, but you have to deal with that. But God bless you if you can come across someone at the DMV that is like, hey, I can help you out here. Cracks a few jokes, works with you.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you might have forgot something. Well, let's figure out another way, another angle, so that you don't have to go to the back of the line and wait another 2-3 hours, you know, to get your driver's license updated. Because you have to have humility. You have to have, you know, a sense of professionalism. You have to have integrity. You have to have respect. And those kinds of values, when you communicate those, you know, in those interpersonal relationships with people, even if that relationship is just brand new starting. Like you show up to a crash site, you show up to a shooting scene, you show up to, you know, just a regular complaint. You know, someone's car is blocking their driveway. You have to know how to talk to people. You have to know how to build that relationship. You have to have that respect. You have to say, hello, ma'am, how are you doing? I'm Officer Alaziz with the San Antonio Police Department. How may I help you today? Little things like that. Now, sometimes people are going to they're going to blow it off on your face. They're going to be so upset that they're going to forget how to be respectful. They're going to forget how to just show that decent common courtesy. It is what it is.
Do you think there's a certain type of person that gets into law enforcement?
I think...
like what I guess characteristics do you think most, at least like in your experience, have you seen that like most law enforcement, whether that's cops or just in general?
Yeah, I would think it's tough. Like, I think for sure, I think most policemen, or at least aspiring policemen, I mean, they have to have some kind of trait in them that kind of helps them to take control of a chaotic situation. You know, but if you met the policemen I work with, you would see all sorts of different personalities. You know, you would see personalities where you have people that are very humorous, and they can, you know, de-escalate a situation through humor. You have people that are very professional, very stern, and, you know, they just solve the situation, you know, professionally. They just do it right. And people, you know, when people need help and they don't know who to turn to, and they're trying to turn to you in uniform, you know, obviously not, you know, being the funny guy doesn't work. Yeah. But being a professional, being a, you know, person that, you know, is going to come off stern. They're going to come off with orders, lawful requests for you to, you know, stand over here or stay over there. You know, it's this job is going to attract those kinds of traits from people. Okay. But like I said before, if you met my coworkers, you would see a wide variety of, just a wide diversity of personalities. I mean, you're gonna have people that are from New York. You're gonna have people that are from Chicago. You're gonna have people that are from the South Side of San Antonio. You're gonna have people from El Paso, Del Rio. You're gonna have people that know Spanish, that don't know Spanish. You're gonna have people that know Russian. You're gonna have people that know Chinese, Mandarin, right? You're gonna have mostly men. It's a mostly male-dominated career, but and there's different reasons why that is. I'm not gonna get into that. I can only speak for myself. But it's really interesting, the people that get into law enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the most difficult thing that you've had to deal with?
Most difficult thing. So, most difficult thing was I had a person shoot themselves in front of me. So that was different. That happened within my first or second year in law enforcement. So, it without getting too much into the details, just out of respect for that person and their family, I tried to help them. I tried to get there. We didn't have any kind of communication, off the bat. It happened very quickly, but you see it right in front of you. It happens, and you just wonder, how could I have better approached it?
Does that still affect you today, or is it?
I would say so, yeah. Because, when you care about people, even if they're strangers, and something really bad happened to them, you wonder if maybe there was something you could have done that could have changed that outcome. And, some people are going to come across a situation like that, and they're going to feel guilty. Do I feel a little guilt about it? Yeah, because it's, you want to, in this line of work, you want to be able to just save people. You want to be able to be a Superman, but not a Superman. But you want to just, be there faster than a speeding bullet. You want to be stronger than 1,000 men, and you just want to do superhuman stuff. But after situations like that, you kind of find out, okay, no, I'm just as human as everybody else. Like, there's just not much you can do.
Yeah.
Other than try. And I think my way of handling that kind of trauma, that guilt, is just circumventing it in something of like a creative pursuit. So I write short stories. I write little books, and in those stories, I don't like copy and paste my experiences, but I do take material from those situations I've been in, and I in a way, it's like the kind of like a loose source material, and I apply it into a story, and I just make up something that, for me, maybe I would have liked to have had it experienced in such a way, or I write a story, and in that story I try to think of like I write it in such a way where I can read back on it and have a different perspective about the same situation that happened.
Interesting. So why do you think, like, what's the purpose of doing it, so that you have like a different perspective on the situation?
So that you can look outside of your own perspective and see it from another angle. Sometimes you're gonna have your crime scene, and in the crime scene, when you first showed up to it, okay, the bullets were here, the gun was there, the body was here, and the car tracks of some car that may have fled, the tracks of a car is over here. So from your angle, you try to piece it all together, but you only have a certain amount of time before you have to leave that scene. And once you've left, however you approached it, that was your first perspective. That was your first impression, right? And the emotions you got from it, the feelings you got of it, all the thoughts that came with it, it's all involved in that first impression. So how wonderful would it be if you can just create again that same situation, almost like you're making your own simulation, you're building your own matrix. Yeah. And now you approach it from another perspective of like, okay, well, what if what I thought happened this way? And your imagination is your only boundaries.
Yeah.
You make up your own story.
Do you think in a way that kind of helps with processing like traumatic experience that you've seen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just my way of doing it. Everyone else is going to be a little different. Some people, they're going to have a palette in front of them, and they're going to make an art piece. Some officers I know, they get a chunk of metal, and they create a futuristic piece of art out of it.
Really?
With welding, with shaping. Yeah.
That's cool.
You know, some policemen, they're gonna convert that I don't know if they convert it or circumvent it, you know, or use it as a tool of escape, or use it as a tool of bringing themselves back to equilibrium. Some of them might just work on cars all the time. They might collect different cars. You know, some might go into photography, and I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you keep, because like I know like with law enforcement or first responders, it's like really important to keep your personal life and your work life separate. So like, what do you do to keep those two things separate? Like, is it hard to keep them separate, or do they kind of mesh together?
In many ways, they're gonna mesh together naturally. You know, you're just gonna be, you know, you walk into a gas station, and you know for a fact that gas stations are often they have a higher rate of robberies. So when you walk in there off duty, you're gonna be looking like, hopefully this ain't the day this gas station gets robbed with me in it. So inevitably it's gonna mesh in those kinds of situations. Where I feel that I intervene and I try to keep it not meshing so much is just, you know, I'm in uniform at work. I do my police work while I'm in uniform, and when I'm off, I'm off. I spend time with family. In my case, my time with family is oftentimes doing jiu-jitsu. I go to practice. I go to seminars. I just spend time with my family. I go hang out with my family at their house and go have a barbecue or something. We'll hang out with our family friends that just happen to be from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So all that kind of meshes together.
Yeah.
You know, I just focus on family and friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Sense of community seems like a really huge thing when it comes to mental health.
Because that's where, when you put it that way, because that's where I can kind of retreat to.
Yeah.
You know,
good.
That's where I can kind of go. I feel that, you know, if you can't leave work, wherever you work, if you can't leave work and come back home to an environment that you want to be a part of, then that's going to be your biggest problem.
Yeah.
That's going to be the source of all your issues. If where you're coming back to is some kind of negativity, there's arguments, there's fights, there's, you know, there's the awkward walking over eggshells, and it's like, man, like, you know, you just ruined the cupcakes. I didn't know. You know, if you come back to something crazy like that or worse, you know, that should be your number one priority to get in order.
Yeah.
Because then how are you going to separate your professional and your private life if your private life's all jacked up? Because then you're going to all be professional.
Yeah.
But things happen at work where you can't just always be at work.
I like that. That was good. Yeah. Okay, so I have this book.
Yeah.
And it's basically it's like a guest book. So since you're my first guest, you get to be the first person to write in it. And basically just anything, a quote and like expression, like anything that has helped you or like left an impression on you. You can write it down in here.
Cool.
Yeah. And then see what you write. Are you getting through that smoothie?
I'm getting through it.
You're not enjoying it though?
I'm focusing more on the apple juice part of it. That is the saving grace.
You tone it all out.
Yeah. How big is it going to have to be?
However, it can be long, it can be short, just whatever comes to your mind that's like something that's...
Yeah.
Okay, what did you write? What did you write?
Become the hero you needed the most.
And why'd you write that?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I feel that the older we get, the more jaded we get, especially as we fail in the things we wish we did not fail in. And how wonderful would it have been if those times when you were failing, if the hero you needed the most showed up?
Okay.
So the hero didn't show up, right? When you were going through that really tough period. So why not just try to become that hero instead?
Okay. I like that. Okay. Well, I think that's all I have to ask.
Cool. So I'm getting cold.
Yeah.
My fingers are freezing.
Well, you are drinking a smoothie too. So. Well, thank you for being my first interviewee. Interviewee. Yeah. Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun.